Okay, good morning. We are Hilchos Yomi Kippurim. Yesterday we discussed Rechitza, so just to point out, yes, according to the minhag is not to wash one's eyes on Yom Kippur, even when they wake up in the morning, unless you have your fingers just damp or you have like crust or some mucus or something there, then you're allowed to clean that out. And you are allowed to wash for refuah purposes. It's just for ta'anug, it's a problem. So if you have a scrape, a wound or something, for sure it's mutter to wash it with soap, whatever. And if you're treating patients, for sure you should use alcohol or water and soap. Okay. That's okay. Today, Taf Reish Yud Daled. Dine sicha uni'ilat hasandal. Okay, so anointing or leather shoes. Aleph. We'll see, is it just leather? Aleph. Asur lasuch hafilu miktzat gufo. Okay, so that one of the chamisha inuyim is we're not allowed to anoint oneself. Right, that's with oils, perfumes, any part of your body. Vafilu eno elah havir hazuama. Here, even if it's just for perspiration reasons, that's not a good enough reason. We learned it could be a good enough reason for rechitza, but not for sicha. Aval imhu chole. It is for sicha. I don't know. I don't remember. I know for rechitza it is. So I think it's the same halachos. But okay, deodorant. Everyone said is okay because that's to stop perspiration. Deodorant is not sicha. Some are machmer for deodorant with a scented, but mikardin, deodorant is not a problem. On Yom Kippur as well. It's to stop perspiration. It is not, it's not, okay, aval imhu chole, I'm sure there's other opinions, but aval imhu chole, afilo ein bo sakana. Now, if someone is sick, even no sakana whatsoever, or sheish lo chatatin barosho, or you have some kind of sores or something on your head, then mutar, then it's mutar, because you're not doing it for enjoyment, you're doing it because it's for refuah. Anytime it's for refuah, that's not a problem. Okay. Okay, let's go on. And just point out, we're talking about when we talk about putting anointments, it's because it's also Yom Kippur is also like Shabbos. So if it's refuah, then it's a problem. But if it's any ointment, any moisturizing cream that normally people use during the year, even if it's only during the winter, then that's called like a ma'achal bari. That's healthy and that's normal. You're allowed to use that. If it's cream that only sick people would use, so then that's called refuah. So on Shabbos. So there's two issues. So here, on Yom Kippur, there's an issue of Shabbos, refuah, and there's also an issue of one of the inuyim. So if you're chole, there's no inui issue for sicha, and it just has to be with something that is normal for healthy people, because otherwise you have a problem of hilchos Shabbos, which applies to Yom Kippur.
I'm assuming it's liquid and not a cream.
So most poskim, I believe, say you're allowed to put cream in your skin if it's absorbed. What's usher is if you put like a Vaseline and you smear it nicely and you have a thin layer on top of your skin and you're smearing it. That's memareach. But just to take moisturizing cream, many say that's not a problem. So, but okay, that's more of a Hilchos Shabbos issue. Bet. Asur lin ol sandal or min al shor. It's asur to put on shoes or sandals if they are leather. Okay, if it's made from leather, Mishnah Berurah says the standard explanation for sandal is if it's again they had different types of shoes and sandals than we have nowadays. So there, when it says in Chazal, when it says a sandal, that's referring to hard leather. And when it says in min'al, it's referring to soft leather. But otherwise, I'm not sure if they differentiate the same way we differentiate when we say the word sandals and shoes. Okay, so anyway, so if it's leather, so that's when it's a problem. Most of the poskim in Lamaisa say it's the only time, again, it's a machloket rishonim, But Lamaisa, the only time the shoes are a problem is if it's made out of leather. If you want to wear any kind of other synthetic cloth shoes, so Mikar din, according to the Shulchan Aruch, Rishonim, and Achronim, the ones that we generally we follow, Mikar din, it's 100% mutter. However, Rambam, others, and some say that all shoes that are comfortable are aser. Only the thin type of, real thin rubber, if it's a thin sole and you're going to feel the pebbles, that's what's mutter. But all other regular shoes that are comfortable are aser, just like leather. So that's the Rambam, some Rishonim, and so some Achronim say it's good to be machmer like that as well. So, okay. So I don't know. When you pick which shoes you're going to wear for Yom Kippur, maybe have that in mind. Okay, let's go on to, let's keep reading. We left off. Okay, afilu kav hakitea v'chayotze bo, even if a person doesn't have, it's like a synthetic foot or shoe, a person's missing his foot and you wear that on the bottom. So even that, since that's supporting your leg, prosthetic. There you go, prosthetic. So then, afilu shel eitz umechupa, or even if it's completely made out of leather, but it's wood, but it's covered in leather, that's also a problem. Once it's covered, it becomes also a problem. Asur, it's asur. But the poskim say just if it's like a little symbol that's made out of leather, that's sewn on top of it, that's not a problem. Or many say if it's just a thin little strap just to hold your foot in, that's also not a problem because it's not the main part of the shoe and that's not what's giving you comfort. You're not using it really, it's just to hold in your foot. So that's, many say that's okay if it's just a thin strap. Aval, shel gemi, if it's made of, I don't know, some kind of other material, rubber or shel kash, some kind of straw, or shel beged, it's cloth, or shel shar minim, any other material, right? That's the opinion of the Shulchan Aruch lahalacha, mutar afilu letzeit behem l'shus harabim. You're allowed to wear them on Yom Kippur. For sure, it's not a problem of one of the Chamisha Inuyim, and it's also not a problem to wear them in Rosh Hashanah. We don't say it's like carrying because it's not a real regular shoe. A regular shoe in those days was always leather, so we don't call it carrying. We still call it a regular shoe, and it's not a problem. Mutar la'amod ala karim v'chesetot shel or, and it's mutar to stand on. Let's say you have a rug or a pillow made out of leather, that's not a problem. That's not an ilat sandal. That's not what Chazal or asru. Only shoes. So that's not a problem. There are some mikol makom amachmer tavo ala bracha. Of course, there's a discussion. So amachmer is good, but that's not the mikar din lahalacha. Okay. And some, what was that?
As opposed to Tisha B'Av, where it's an Indian to avoid that comfort.
Okay. And then, Mishnah Berurah also just points out, in particular, when it comes to standing on pillows, some Achronim say beferush, like the Pri Chadash, my Radbaz, my Gen Avram, you don't even have to worry about walking on leather shoes. There's not even much of an inyan to be machmer, or there's none. So that's a machloket. Oh, pillows, leather pillows. Oh my gosh, leather pillows. Okay, Gimel. Thank you. Hachaya kol shloshim yom muteret lin olet sandal. Now, chaya. So this is someone who is pregnant. So she's no. She just gave birth. She just gave birth. Kol shloshim yom muteret lin olet sandal v'achol chayotze ba af al pi she'ein bo sakana. Anyone who's a chola that has even has no sakana, or a person has an injury and a wound to his leg. So all these cases, they are allowed to wear leather shoes like usual. Okay. Right, and we say cold is unhealthy for them, and it's not a problem.
Does it apply today?
Yeah, applies today too. Sure. Maybe you should get,
Yeah.
maybe where you live, it's better to be machmer. But nowadays you have comfortable synthetic shoes. But really, it's halacha didn't change. And there is a question if you should say a bracha. It's brought down in the poskim. Shasali kol tzarki. So most say that the halacha is you still say the bracha like usual.
The question is every day do you say the bracha if you're wearing synthetic shoes?
Right, every day it's a bit of a question. But anyway, so that's the clear halacha. Most poskim say you are allowed to say it, but there are a slew of Sephardic poskim in particular, I think based on the Arizal, the Chida, Ben Ishchai, who say never to say Shasali Kol Tzarki on Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur, because it's more of a reason al pisod, but it's not the day because that bracha is intended for when you put on your shoes, and it's not appropriate for this day. But since normally we say brachos al minhag ha'olam and everyone's wearing shoes, even other shoes according to how we paskin, so okay. Chazon Ovadia says to say the bracha. This is generally more of a pshat, less sod posek, but okay, different opinions. Dalid. Mutar kol adam lin'ol sandal machamat akra v'chayot sebo kadei shelo yishchenu. Now, if you're afraid that there's scorpions and whatever is going to bite you along the way, then everyone says you're allowed to wear leather shoes. Of course, until you get to your destination. Once you get indoors and there's no more scorpions, you have to take off your shoes right away. That's im mitzuyim sham akrabim odvarim hanoshchim. That's if it's in a place where you know it might be dangerous. It's reasonable, it's normal, so then that's when you wear leather shoes. V'im yardu geshamim, v'rotze leilech lebeito mebeit ha'knesset alehefech v'hu istinis. Also, if you're traveling and it's raining outside, you don't want to get your shoes all wet, your feet all wet, a bit of an istinis. I think most of us are like that nowadays. And so then mutar lin ol min alav ad shemagia limkomo. So then you're allowed to wear leather shoes until you reach your place. In order so that your shoes don't, right, so that your feet don't get wet and muddy. That's also brought down in the Mishnah Berurah. Also, if someone's, I remember Rabbi Stefanski always talks about a story when he went to a shul wearing socks, and when he went into the bathroom, after he put his foot down on the floor, he realized it was flooded, and that was very not enjoyable experience. So if you know you're going into a bathroom that's wet on the floor, you're definitely allowed to wear leather shoes if that's what you have, or any shoes. Same idea as over here. All right, it's for the purposes of not having ta'anug. It's not when you're going to get yourself muddy or dirty. That's really in all the poskim. Okay, there is such a kula by Avelus not to wear, that you're allowed to wear leather shoes when you go into public, because the goyim might deride you or look at you and say things inappropriately. But when it comes to Yom Kippur, since it might be a deraisa, right, the chamishach inuyim, it's a question of exactly if it's a din deraisa or din derabanan. But the poskim generally say on Yom Kippur we have to be machmer, not to wear leather shoes, just because of what the goyim does. Okay. Tav Reish Tet Vav. Yom Kippurim asur b'tashmish hamita. Okay, marital relations is asur. Aleph. Yom Kippurim asur b'tashmish hamita. Yom Kippur is asur to have marital relations. V'asur liga be'ishto ki'ilu hi nida. And it's also asur to touch one's wife as if she's a nida. V'chen asur lishon im ishto b'mita. And it's also asur to sleep with her in the same bed. And these halachos apply day and night. Okay. As far as, let's see. Some of the harchakas don't apply, let's say necessarily sitting on her bed. And as far as handing things from one to another, that's a machlokas. I know Chazon Ovadia says it's mutter. I know by Ashkenazi poskim I've seen it's a big machloket. He says Chazon Ovadia says only b'makom hatzarech. So I know this comes up a lot, or it comes up with mila. When there's a baby, a new baby's born, and you're always handing off the baby. especially by a mila when it's l'tzorach mitzvah. So then some poskim say it's mutter, and some say it's better to do it through somebody else. Okay. I think we're at Tibet. Okay. Haro'eh keri belil yom kippurim yid'ag kol hashana. So now if a person sees a seminal flow on Yom Kippur night, he should be worried his whole life, that whole year, kol hashana, if he's going to make it that year. Because, that's the Gemara, and Rashi explains, it's almost like when a servant comes to pour, it's like we have that by Sukkot. You come to serve your Rebbe, your master, with a cup of water, he takes it and pours it right on your face or in front of you. And it's the same idea here, because we're using the Chamisha Inuyim to serve a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and he's taking something that's related to one of them, and he's basically saying, I'm not really interested in, I'm not so happy with you, I'm not so interested in you right now, and so therefore he has to worry. But V'im alta lo shana, muftach lo shehu ben ha'olam haba. But if he makes it for the year, then he knows he's going to get an olam haba. Because the fact that even though HaKadosh Baruch Hu wasn't so happy with him, he still survived the year. That means he has enough zechuyos that kept him alive for the year, and therefore you're going to have enough zechuyos to also enter olam haba. So and if it happens to someone, the poskim say it's the main ideal tikkun is limud haTorah, and hopefully this chus haTorah will keep you alive for the year. The Mishnah Berurah points out, and just remember, the ikar limud of Torah is in order to be mekayem. It's when you learn the halacha, or when you learn a sugya be'iyun, you end up with the halacha. Okay, let's go on to Tafresh Tet Zayin Haktanim Matai Yatchilu. Okay, Matai Yatchilu Lihitanot, to fast. So Aleph, Hatinokot, so children, Mutarim b'chol elu chutz min ilat hasandal she'ein chosheshim kol kach im lo yinalu. Pause. Okay. So children, they're allowed to wear, they're allowed to do all the chamisha yinuyim. We're not machmer for the chamisha yinuyim except for leather shoes, because we're not so worried about them with wearing leather shoes. Haga, and I'll just point out, Lamaisa, nowadays,
we're not so worried about them doing
the chamisha yinuyim. They're allowed to do the chamisha yinuyim. We are allowed to bathe them and give them anoint them, but leather shoes we don't let them wear.
With the exception of leather shoes.
Leather shoes is the exception.
Got it.
Now, nowadays, the poskim point out, it's kind of went hafuch, the opposite. Nowadays, we're not so worried about bathing them, and so therefore the minhag is, for all communities, it's aser. But when it comes to leather shoes, so there's some discussion if leather shoes changed, but nowadays with modern synthetic shoes, I'm pretty sure everyone would, most, not everyone, most would agree that leather shoes are also a problem. All chamisha niyam are a problem for kids nowadays. Haga, but no, obviously not eating. Eating is not the problem. All ages. All ages, unless they're dirty. Minhag is we don't bathe any kids on Yom Kippur unless they're dirty, and we don't put on leather shoes. All ages.
Except eating. Okay.
Except eating. Sorry. Haga, right. Not all of the inuyim apply to the children. Meving Yavin. Haga. Yes, we're going to them for that. Haga, mutar lomar lenochri lorochtzan ulesuchan, but you are allowed to have a goy, bedam, aval achilam afilu biyadayim shari. But Jews, we are allowed to feed them biyadayim. We're allowed to put it in their mouth. In fact, we're supposed to. We want to feed them, okay. And the poskim point out, even by a goy, he's allowed to heat up the water and bathe them with hot water. But nowadays, again, we're generally machmer with the bathing. Okay, unless of course they're dirty or they're sick and whatever. Let's see. Let's do bet. Katan habari. Now, anytime you have children who are healthy, ben tish. So we're going to see it's always usher to have them fast. But let's read a little more detail. A katan who's healthy, ben teisha shanim shlemos, uben eser shanim shlemos, either 9 or 10 years old. Depends how strong and healthy basically how strong they are. So 9 or 10 years old, that's when it starts minchanchin oto lishaot. You start making them fast. It's called lishaot for hours. Basically, whatever they normally eat in the morning, you add an extra hour. You make them fast an hour, basically extra in the morning. That's really what it comes to. If they normally eat 2 hours into the morning, you make them, like, let's say, we'll call that, 7 o'clock. So you make them wait until 8 o'clock if they can. If they normally wait till 8, you wait the 4th hour at 9 o'clock. Just as an example, you add an extra hour. It also depends a little bit on the koach of the ben, exactly how much extra time you make them go. And it makes no difference, boys and girls. Ben achat esrei ben zachar, ben nekeva. Once the child is 11 years old, boy or girl, mit anin umashlimim midivrei sofrim kedei lechancha b'mitzvot. So once they hit 11, again, doesn't matter boy or girl, even though bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah is 2 different ages. They midarabanan, we have them fast starting from age 11, the full day if they're able to. However, well, let's read the Ramah. We're going to see that's not the halacha lemaisa. Haga v'yesh omrim she'enan tzrichin lahashim midarabanan klal. And some say no, we don't make them fast at all until they reach a full bar mitzvah 13 or bat mitzvah 12. They don't fast. They never fast the entire day. You just do lishaot. V'yesh lismoch alayo ben na'ar shu kachush ve'eno chazak litanot, and we should be somech on them for someone who's more on the weak side. But the poskim point out, it's also Mishnah Berurah, Chazon Ovadia, Shulchan Zalman. Nowadays, we don't want the children to fast until they are a full bar and bat mitzvah. Even though their age, a few months to go till their bar bat mitzvah, we do not encourage them. We try not to let them fast. Okay. Let's see. All right, and there's no isser to give children food to eat, right? We know that sometimes it's called sfia, or we don't actually give children things that are usser to eat, but that doesn't apply over here because it's mutter. It's not a davar isser. The food is kosher. It's 100% mutter for them to eat, and there's no din chinuch for them to fast beyond lishaot. So therefore, everyone agrees 100% mutter. Feed them b'yadayim. Rav Karelitz even says you can even feed them lachatchila sweets on Yom Kippur. You don't have to doesn't have to be dry bread. Bread and water. So that's not the halacha, and you don't have to even hold back. And the halacha is you don't even hold back, and you give them whatever they need to eat. You don't say, well, they need just a few beitzas to eat, otherwise they might get sick and die. No. You let them eat full, and you don't worry about it. That's pretty much all the poskim say, except for the Minchas Chinuch says you have to give them only the bare minimum, but that's not the halacha. Okay, let's go on. Haga, we read that. V'yesh lismoch halayu ben no, v'chol makom shemachanchin oto ba'achila machanchin oto berachitza v'sicha. And here the Rama writes, and whenever we're machanchin with them when it comes to food, we also machanchin them with rachitza and sicha. So l'sha'ot means l'sha'ot, but nowadays we're machmer for the whole day anyway. Once they reach bar bat mitzvah, right, age 12 or 13, and sheheviu shtei sa'arot, and they bring 2 pubic hairs, hareihem kegedolim l'chol mitzvot u'mashlimim min Torah. So then they're 100% gedolim in every sense. But if they didn't bring 2 hairs, so then adayin ktanim him, we consider them 100% ktanim. Well, not 100%. Let me explain. Ve'ena mashlimin ela midivrei sofrim. So once they do hit the age of 12 and 13, of course we do make them fast, all right? Unless, of course, they feel like they're sick and they can't, we do make them fast. But it's only midivei sofrim because they don't have 2 pubic hairs. And also because we're afraid that maybe they got the pubic hairs and they fell out. Anyways, Haga. V'afilu rach v'kachush tzarich lahashlim. Even though he's weak, he has to fast. The chayshinan shema nashru asara. Because we're afraid maybe they fell out. Katan shehu pachot miben teisha ein me'aninoto b'yom kippur. K'dei shelo yavo lidei sakana. But below 9, so then we for sure are not mechanechim them even hours at all. Right? We're afraid for sakana. Haga, I feel im rotze lahachmer alatzmo. Even if he wants to be machmer, mochin biyado. We tell him you're not allowed to. All right, I think we'll stop there.